Hello everybody, and before I begin this video, let me just say, if you are from Omaha, Nebraska, if you have any kind of roots there, this video is for you, because apparently I did not know this, and I mean no disrespect towards those who live there. Omaha, Nebraska has its own indie rock scene, which in big part is due to the artist that I'm going to talk about this week. However, before I begin, welcome to the Mainstream Indie Music channel. We talk all things indie music from any type of genre inside of indie music, from rock to hip hop and everything in between. And this week is artist. I always say that this has been an ongoing project, and this time I'm very serious because Conor Oberst I've had, and I really hope I'm saying his last name right, but I've had on my radar for quite some time. My brother is a huge Bright Eyes fan. I wish I was a bigger listener of him and his band, but I haven't really gotten into them. And one of my closest friends also is really into Bright Eyes. They always say to check him out. And let me just say, I in no way am saying I don't check them out because he's not talented. Because I liken Conor Oberst to Kishibashi, where I have no doubt that they are talented. You know, I listen to their music. I've listened to live performances of theirs, and it is no question that they are talented. But just for some reason, I just can't get into it. However, don't let me detract you from this video, especially if you are a big fan of his, if you are a big fan of Bright Eyes. Excuse me, I'm also kind of sick today, so my apologies moving forward. But let me kind of begin. Let me kind of set the background story for Conor here and what we're talking about. Like I said, he's from Omaha, Nebraska, grew up there, and him and his brother were into the music scene. And whether that was because of how they were raised, maybe they were not very social with people, whatever the circumstances may be, they grew up playing their own music. Right? In fact, I've seen in doing some research that Conor had even released his own music under another name when he was still a teenager. So that's how long he had been playing music for. You know, definitely comfortable, playing by himself, and it seems like he wasn't one of those people that needed to cover other people's music. He could just simply play his own music and get his own ideas, and he had the talent to back it up. And so Bright Eyes was not yet formed right away. He kind of went on his own first. He even played different instruments. Like I think at one point he was a drummer for another band before Bright Eyes got started. In fact, he had been in numerous bands, about I'd say 3 or 4 bands before Bright Eyes even got started going. Bright Eyes themselves had come off of him playing solo, off of yet another parting from another musical band from which he was a part of. And so he started Bright Eyes. He started, getting going. And Bright Eyes even themselves didn't have a compilation, a set one, until the end of the 1990s. In fact, they even did a compilation album from 1995 to 1997. That's kind of how scattered the timeline of things was. But a lot of people don't know Bright Eyes until, I would say, one of his most famous albums came later in his musical journey. And that album was I'm Wide Awake, It's Morning. And that was about 5 or 6 albums in at that point. Now, that's not to say they weren't popular. They definitely had gained a lot of momentum and had gained notoriety as well. But I would say that album is one of the most recognizable Bright Eyes albums. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bright Eyes fans, but I remember specifically that was one of the first Bright Eyes albums becoming big. In fact, during the 2004 United States election, that is why Bright Eyes got even popular, so a little before that album came out. Now, the reason why is because of who they decided to open for and who invited them to open up for them. That was 2 massive bands you probably know, Bruce Springsteen and REM. And so they heard what Bright Eyes had to offer, and they loved it. They absolutely loved it. Conor has always been outspoken about his beliefs, his political views, his views on social issues in the United States and in the world. And I believe that's also why they got invited to tour along with them. But I think the biggest thing started with the music and kind of evolved into that, where it all kind of just started to blend together, and it worked out. And so people, you got a huge fan following of those two groups, legendary Hall of Fame rock and roll bands. And people decided to check out Bright Eyes. They were like, whoa, this kid is really talented. And that definitely helped them out and boost their popularity into pretty much where it is today. Now, if you know Bright Eyes, you probably know the previous album that I mentioned, or this next album that I'm going to mention, The People's Key, which was released in 2011. Especially the cover art is probably something that you're familiar with, even if you haven't listened to them. Now, I've been talking this whole time about Bright Eyes in particular, but this whole time, Conor has been performing with other bands, with other solo projects, and by himself. He's been recording. He never stopped during this entire time. One final kind of cool thing about Conor is Bright Eyes made another album after going on a hiatus in 2020, and now in 2024 they have released yet another album. One cool thing that I don't know how true it is, but I've seen it on several fan forums, is that he dated Winona Ryder in his earlier days, and now he has a family, so I think he's definitely outgrown that. But that's kind of a cool little factoid about Conor as well. But there you have it. That's the full history of Conor. That's the full history of Bright Eyes so far. And I will see y'all next week. Peace.